To IT Learn. This is Karthik and I have Shankar along with me. We're going to start the sessions on Selenium plus Katalon Studio. So welcome all. A few housekeeping points and I'll let Shankar take over from there for a while. You're all, most of you at least, are joining digitally. So please have yourself muted. You're all automatically muted. Whenever you have a question, put it in the Q&A. We will address them as and when. We also have IT Learn support team standby along with us. I am doing this live from Hyderabad as of now. Shankar is in Chennai, but we are here to keep things going. So we have a large audience. We really want to thank you and welcome you all. Shankar, let's get started, please.
Yep. Hi everyone. This is Shankar. For the people who don't know, a quick introduction about myself. I work in the quality. I'm working as like a quality lead for a multinational company. I work out of Chennai, and I've been associated with ITLN for about 2.5 years, 3 years now. Been taking various sessions on Selenium manual certifications related to like ISTQB. Uh, you know, pretty much onto the testing side of it. So let's get started with the latest version of the Selenium, that is the Selenium 3. I would say like we'll see whatever the latest version, because it's more like agility and we keeps getting the latest versions every week. So it's more like a 3.x. Can you all hear me good, right? Before we check on that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And we are proudly introducing a brand new automation tool called Katalon Studio. I really want to check how many of you heard. I'm sure most of you would have definitely heard about Selenium because it's been ruling the market for about last 4 to 5 years. How many of you heard about Katalon Studio? Like, did anybody really heard about it, or did anybody really already seen it? What is Catalan Studio? Just want to quickly check people on the online as well as in Amirpet. Did anybody heard about what is the studio is all about? You can put your answer as well in the questions, saying just yes,
Yeah.
no will help.
So yes, they can. You can use the Q&A section, please, all of you. I don't see them coming. Let's see. Audience, are you all active? We can see you're attentive on the session. So did
Okay.
you hear about Katalon Studio? It's a simple yes/no question. Do you know what is Katalon Studio? Yes, no.
Okay.
Keep going, please. Keep going, everyone. We would like participation. You are spending time. Your time is very valuable. So kindly. I just got 1 year, 2 years, Shankar. You're seeing, right?
Okay. Cool. Yeah, yeah,
And
I'm
then
seeing it.
5, no, no.
Okay.
Okay.
Somebody is
All right.
online
Yeah, yeah.
checking it now. That's cool.
Checking it now. Sure.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
here is the introduction I would like to give. Like when I started with Selenium, like again, I'm sure me, Karthik, like most of the IT testing market, right? Uh, like I would say around before 2013, the whole previous decade was majorly on the UFT, the Unified Functional Testing, or it was known as a QTP. And it was so user friendly that people could easily adapt it. And the mainstream in which the people come to the testing, right? It's more like a black box testing. People who generally prefer, who does not really. Yeah, some of you are correct. It's a free automation tool, but let me give you a detailed introduction about it. That why it's going to be important for the next 4 or 5 years. I would not say it's going to completely take away Selenium, but it is totally built on top of the Selenium. So that's why Selenium plus Catalan learning is important. If you directly start with Catalan learning, you will not really understand what's happening behind the system and what are the challenges of not getting master in Selenium. Of course, if you kind of the way we train is you will get an expertise in Selenium as well, but over a period of time, there is already a problem solved in Catalan and you don't want to really solve it through writing 20 lines of code. So we'll get to the full introduction of both Selenium and Catalan in a few minutes, so please focus on here. So majorly we know, like people who generally prefer coming to the testing, or basically like they're not may or may not be an expert in programming, because here in case of Blackbox, what is important to test is I don't need to really know the programming behind the application. I don't need to really know the internal design of my application. All I need to know is the domain of the application, the functionality of the application, and what users are actually expecting out of this system. If I'm able to validate it, and that's what is good for me in terms of a black box. But with the kind of latest agile that we are running on, we are getting almost the build every week. So if I'm getting a build every week, how can I run my regression? How can I complete my new features testing? Even though it's a not single person, it's a team, but it's still becoming a challenge, and automation is the key. Today, you won't really find many jobs only on manual testing. That is a reality, and I'm sure most of you will agree with it. And that's one of the main reasons that why people wanted to move to automation, why people wanted to learn to automation, right? Very few jobs on only manual testing. Now, keeping the address of that point that agile and automation is important, we people even who are into the UFT, which was like a very less programming and very user interactive UI, and we can achieve all kind of frameworks like data driven test, keyword driven framework, all sort of frameworks. But that was has its own limitations because it was not very successful for the web, and that's when its Selenium got picked up, right? And for the last 5 years, as I've been saying, Selenium is kind of ruling the market. So, but the only challenge that I have seen, even when I wanted to switch, being a computer science graduate, having a programming knowledge, we were in this world of like, we can just get the things done by writing simple few lines of code and we are done with our task. There's a lot of time save. But when we had to migrate to Selenium for our own automation, there was a bit of a learning curve in terms of Java programming language or C# programming language or Ruby or Python, whatever the programming language that you wanted to do, as well as like it's open source and you cannot expect everything to be so perfect that is available for you. Simple example, if I wanted to do a data-driven framework, I had to go and take out a lot of Apache library files that are available, add it to my project, and write some 20-30 lines of code to get the data from the Excel and create your data-driven test and push the results or data back into the Excel. And same case with if I wanted to do a DB testing, database testing, I have to connect to the database. And again, for that, I have to create my JDBC driver, connect to the database, pull out the data, make the validations. And then there is something called, that's not, it's enough. So for that, obviously, if I had to write, by the way, we are going to make all those things very simple when we are going to learn Selenium. To make the validations, I need to completely know the Java language to write if conditions or loop statements or while conditions, etc. So obviously, there's a learning on the Java side as well. And there does not end the matter. Like what we have to do is we have to even understand a little bit of a design factors also. Apart from the OOPS concepts, Java language, I need to know a little bit of a design because the whole market is talking about page object model. So then I need to understand what is this page object model, page factory. So then again, there's a bit of learning curve there. All that is one side. Apart from that, how are you going to schedule and run your automation? So again, people talking about it like you need to run this automation as soon as a new build generated from the development team. That means whenever the development team checks in some new code, a new build will be generated, and to the new build you have to run your automation. It's on the demand basis, on the need basis. You may or may not be in office, but your automation should start running. So then I had to understand about something like a Maven, which is a build management tool, Jenkins, which is a continuous integration tool. And again, there are so many things. So this is one area of web related testing. But along parallelly with the web, even the mobile has become so popular, and we have seen lots of applications, the smart applications. Again, the mobile testing has become very popular. If I had to learn only the Selenium, then again there is something called Appium, which is going to help me in mobile automation testing. And here I'm going to do it on the different browsers like Internet Explorer, Firefox, uh, you know, Safari, etc. Different browsers along with Microsoft Edge, etc. the kind of learning, the kind of programming and putting the things together, I can tell you like there were only very few people, or I would say like the percentage of the people, like at least 50% of the people were successful, and 50% of the people would actually feel it very difficult while learning itself. And that's where we have put together the things to make you understand it very easily. That's what is Selenium. But while doing that, I was always dreaming for one tool. I was always thinking of like, what if somebody can build a tool like this, which is going to help us in doing all these things in a simpler manner. And, the way UFT used to help us like some time back, where we can save a lot of time because everybody is handful of work in their sprints to take care of manual test case preparations, to do a test strategy preparations, test cases preparations, running them, and again on top of it, spending a lot of time in automation and ensuring they are stable, running continuously was one of the definitely biggest challenge that any senior test engineer to test lead will face. May not be initially as a junior test engineer, but as you grow in your level, it is going to be really, really challenge. But one side, without automation, nothing is possible because we have only 14 days of a time in a sprint to release a couple of user stories. So that's when I was really searching, and that's when I was really dreaming some kind of a tool like this. I came to know about this tool called Katalon Studio, which is kind of becoming popular. People started getting using to this tool, and the kind of advantage of this tool is like if you know already Selenium, you will be easily able to use it because you know what's happening internally with each steps that we are going to perform. And if you don't know about Selenium, if somebody is directly learning Catalan Studio, he's still going to work and get the things work done. But internally, if there is any problem happens, if there is any execution fails, let's say you're waiting until some focus on a particular object, the kind of outer layer that Catalan uses the program is slightly different, but internally it's totally built on Selenium library. So if I know Selenium, then I would really know what is actually happening inside as well. So that is a whole idea of combining these two tools. And I'm sure in certain maybe like in next 1 2 years, this is the best combination to go and learn it because you will learn completely on the Selenium, and that's going to help you master in the Catalan Studio. And I have very pretty much confidence because this tool is what it is going to offer us very brand new features. The web automation, it's going to help us, and it has a mobile automation inbuilt it. And the another area where the testers have to really learn and spend the time is the API testing or API automation. That API automation is already inbuilt it. And we have this continuous execution process, which I'm talking, right? Something like Maven, Jenkins, and continuously running it. So it has an integration with Jenkins as well for the continuous integration. So all these features put together with a simple programming, or I would say almost no programming, because anybody can learn and do it, and that's where it is going to bring us the features. So that's why the combination is very important. First, learning the Selenium, understanding the lower level of programming, how we are going to do it, and then we get onto the Catalan Studio. It's going to be like a full master in the complete Selenium libraries. So this is a quick introduction. Want to like pass 2 minutes and see if there are any questions before we go drill down more onto what we are going to learn in Selenium and what we are going to learn in Catalan Studio.
Um, may I, Shankar? Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
please, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Um, my experience with Catalan, I'll tell very briefly. As you all can see on the bottom left corner, Verkasa Software Test Automation. So for 9 years, we've been building this organization, but our main brand has been IT Learn. And we've been focused on trainings, exactly the same journey that Shankar said. We started as qtpelearn.com, then we became Selenium, not became, we added seleniumelearn.com. And I thought, let me keep it generalized in itlearn.com. And in that journey, we started mastering automation frameworks. No one else was doing it in the industry. And we built a tool called Anyot. The reason Catalan is important for us is about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when I was launching Anyot, in the Selenium conference in Austin, Texas. That was when the first time I was hearing Katalon, though it wasn't present. We had cross-browser testing, Source Labs, and a lot of other competitors. HP was there. Um, I was pretty amazed at the fact that, okay, but I was aggressive that, okay, let me build. Um, in the recent 3 weeks, I lost two deals so closely. I was like neck and neck to Catalan. And that was surprising. We built Anyot as a framework where we have a core product and we can customize and keep going. But I believe Catalan is really getting popular and it's going to be so easy for you to learn this additionally. It is almost like maybe about 20% more learning. If you already know like something, how a QTP works and you don't need scripting, that's fine. So a lot of flexibility. I have not worked on it personally, and it is Shankar who's an expert. I'm pretty good in Selenium, Java, frameworks, Anyot. So Shankar, that's my experience, and that's where I'll keep, switching in and out with you in the session then.
Yep. Yeah, just for the people who have not heard about Anyot, so here is the product that the Karthik and the team from Vakansa has built it. So it is, as they say, right? Even I have completely experienced and looked at all the features of it. It's pretty close by. Like it even helps you in test case management, your keyword-driven framework, which is typically the most popular framework. So it's totally built on top of it. And exactly something similar is what Catalan is also offers. Just that it has the mobile automation and also the complete continuous integration and continuous deployments and along with the core web automation. So that's where the industry is catching up. And because nobody wants to, even that the team is capable, even if you say as a test engineer I'm capable in doing all this, the time is a factor because you're going to spend and write the code and integrate all that, whereas here it is just coming out of the box. Just for the people who don't know, okay, so let me also open all three. So one is a seleniumhq.org. So if anybody not heard about it, where can I see the Selenium and as well? Okay, in this session, Catalan, or does it include a project as well? So it whatever we do at IT Learn, it includes training as well as post the training. We will have some live projects as well going on. So it'll be both training and as well as live projects. So seems to be like you're already a member of it and you know how we do generate, right, Vasanthi? So exactly. So it will be Catalan followed by project as well. So this is the main website for the Selenium, and since it's again, we're going to have a very detailed introduction about it in few minutes. So it's an open source, so it's people came together and have built this automation. I would say it's a robust automation because it's every tool that people are building, like be it an Anyot or be it on the Katalon Studio, it's majorly using the Selenium libraries. So the libraries are so strong and robust, so which people have come together and built this particular tool. So the latest version what we have is 3.13. So can you all see over here? So this is the version that we will be download and start using it from the next session itself. So here is the latest library, and yeah, so it's a couple of documentation related to it is available over here. And the tool that we are talking about here is the Katalon. So here is a Katalon Studio, and you can look at definitely what are the full feature set, what it can offer for you. Let me just see if Katalon Studio. They have different other tools as well. So simple UI through which like people who know Selenium already, you would be start differentiating it. Like there's a very rich UI through which you can create your test suites and test cases. It is going to help us in web mobile API testing, complete SDLC integration through the Jenkins. Git is a very popular version control system, so we have few sessions on that as well. And then Jira, probably you might have heard about it or already used it. Otherwise, we do have videos on it on trainings on that. Basically for the application lifecycle management, and Qtest is the one which is going to help us in like test cases management, because Jira does not offer test case management. It offers everything like user story, the agile management of a project, creating the tasks and burn down the tasks, etc. But Q-test will help, and the bugs, etc. is available. Everything is available in the form of issues. Q-test is mainly for the test cases. So they are giving the integration for both Jira and as well as Q-test. And we can also generate the test, and there is a dual editor interface. Again, people who know QTP, you can relate it. If you are not comfortable in scripting, you will simply go with this manual option and create the program. If you're comfortable in scripting, this is similar to Groovy and Java. So if you're comfortable in Java, you can write in Java. If you're comfortable in Groovy language, you can write in Groovy language. Fair assumption here that I'm going to make is you don't know any of them, so we're going to start from the scratch. So we'll start with Java language, obviously, because that is going to help us in both Selenium as well as in Groovy. Uh, and the code assist utilities also, like if you're not comfortable in full programming how to do it, so there are some utilities through which you can complete the code very easily. See, only till you get through the interviews, it's most important, because even in the interviews, they might give you a sample program and sample, kind of a scripting question to ask you to write the program. But once you get through the interviews and once you start working, it does not really matter whether you have written a line by line on your own or with the code assisting tools, or the kind of auto-generated tools. It does not really matter, but from a programming is important when you have to go through the interview, and that's where you have to really spend and learn the thing. But after that, the tools are there to assist and complete the tasks very easily. And this is where it is going to help us in the execution of the tests, and you can execute it on different platforms. As you can see over here, these many browsers we can execute. Like if I wanted to run the same program, you can run it in Chrome. If you want to run it in Firefox, you can run it in Firefox. If you want to run it in Android, iOS, you can do it. Since the mobile testing, you can do it in Android and iOS. And people again who know or heard about Selenium or Appium, even though you have written the code, if you wanted to run the same code on a different browser, you have to change 3 to 4 lines minimum to point it to the other browser. First of all, you have to download the other browser exe file, put it in a particular location and refer to that file, pointing it to the WebDriver object also to that. So at least 4 to 5 lines of code you have to do. And here, nothing. Same code. All you have to do is just say run a different browser and you're done. So flexible execution engine, and the most important is the CI/CD. So it's a very popular it's a fair expectation from any automation engineer in the interviews also. And people start directly, like ask you, do you have any experience of implementing continuous integration, continuous deployment, at least if you cross like 2 years of experience. So this is going to help you, or kind of help us in kind of connecting to all those tools. In terms of, you can see here, it's integration with Git, integration with Jira, and we do have integration with Jenkins. So yeah, and a nice reporting structure. I have seen people spend time in building their own reports after the automation is done through Selenium. But here, either you'll have to use TestNG to get a framework features on the reporting side, or you have to build your own HTML reports and all. So all those are going to go away, and you're going to have a very nice integration and the reports in terms of where the reports are available for every single step which is going to be performed. The maintenance is also going to be very easy. The biggest challenge that I face or anybody face in the industry is the maintenance of the scripts, because in agile world, your development team will ship the features very frequently, and if there are any UI changes majorly, it is going to break your automation also, frequently. The question is like how you're going to maintain and how you're going to have that maintenance as minimum as possible. So that is where it is going to help us, the way it's going to organize its objects information and the way it actually identifies those locators. So everything is going to be helpful is in minimizing the maintenance of our scripts. And it can be very easily extended, because it's again at the end of day, it's using the Selenium library. So we can also extend it. We can write some custom keywords for what we want. So it's mainly taken care of all the keywords for the keyword driven framework. But still, if we wanted to add any more custom keywords, we can do that as well. So this is the website, and this is the kind of introduction. But as I told you, we are not going to deal with it now. First, we are going to deal with it with the Selenium, understanding all the features. We'll go through, like, it's more like going the pain points first, learning it in a hard way first. And if you become master in this is going to be like a cakewalk for you. It's very simple and to do it. But if you directly start with this, that's why we have changed the program a bit. Initially, we thought of, like, we wanted to introduce Catalan as a separate, but we see a lot of people are directly coming and trying to take this, which is okay. But troubleshooting and if things go wrong will be little difficult for the people who don't know Selenium. So that's why we have bundled the program together, and you learn all the hard way and you spend writing the program on your own, become master in it, then this will be a very simple and easy to do it. So any questions so far on the introduction of Selenium or Catalan? I'll get into the detailed introduction soon after taking few questions. So as I told you, first we'll spend totally on the Selenium, learning it all the things that we just talked about it in a very practical way with the Java programming, and then we'll go into this tool called Katalon Studio. So any questions that you guys have at the moment? Meanwhile, I'll try to get the whole content, what we're going to learn. Okay, there are a few questions. Let me take them. Is it a good start with Selenium directly for the people who don't have any idea about testing? Yes, and we just done last week about manual testing. So it's quick 5 sessions that you can go through parallelly. You're done. Basically, you need to understand a bit of few things like, what is a test case, what is a test strategy, and what is a regression testing, because those are the main keywords we're going to use it in automation. So we just have a fast track 5 sessions. So if you can go through them, you're good to start with. Parallelly, we will be having like 1 or 2 sessions done by the time, uh, and you're ready to go for it. What is a roughly timeline for both the tools? So you can think of Selenium would take around 25 sessions, and the Catalan can take around 10 sessions. So put together, it's like 35 sessions. I'm into support side. Okay, yeah, we can definitely. Can I get the automation with 2 years experience? It's 2 years is really hot cake. I would say the experience majorly it starts from the 2 to 6, 7 years of experience into the core hands-on automation side. That's a prime area for anybody, because again, you need to prove that you really have the 2 years of experience. So that's where the learning and the core practice is going to help you. But the prime market for now, the hard market for now is like I would say around 8 years of experience. Post that, it's majorly like into a lead role or the analyst kind of a role. Only the experience will speak about it. So, but otherwise, yes, 2 to 8 years of experience is really good. When is the start date for the session? So soon after this, for the orientation today, we're going to start from tomorrow. Okay, so Ashna, we have do you remember the Selenium content that I used to share? Do you have anywhere it's handy? I think it will be there in our website as well. I'm sorry for that, but yeah. Okay, so this is where we are going to start with it. We're going to understand the Selenium IDE. The only change here is that the Selenium IDE is kind of broken. So it's an open source tool. The first one that we have started, anybody who learned Selenium in a hard way, they all would have started with IDE, Integrated Development Environment, which is a simple recording and playback tool. And it is going to really help us in understanding what is, because see, every automation tool, right, or any automation tool, how it actually identifies your application. We generally call it as AUT, application under test. So every application, we know it will have few locators like a text box, a combo box or a list box. We'll have a few check buttons maybe, and few radio buttons, right? And it might have some grid or a table sometimes where it will populate the data, and maybe few push buttons here. Of course, in a web, you will have lots of links also be coming. So let's assume few links over here, maybe here. Okay, there's a question. Shankar, I see when I download, it's like an Eclipse because it downloads in folder like M2. If you see and uninstall, it does not show under control. Which one you're talking about, Mahesh? You're talking about Katalon Studio or Eclipse? Anyway, we'll deal with all that stuff. Okay, so it comes like that, and you will see the Catalan icon. You have to just run it. There's no installation as such. You have to just start running it. Anyway, for the benefit of everybody, we'd like to go in a very detail. So I'll show all that as well in the live. How to download Selenium, how to download Catalan, how to start from the scratch. So please hold on few more sessions. But yeah, you're right. You're almost there. You have to just click on the Catalan Studio, that icon. You're there. So you'll see a few links as well. In a web application, it's very common, right? And then you'll have something like a submit button, cancel button. These are called locators. Okay, people call it as objects, people call it as locators. In the world of Selenium and Catalan, we can start calling it as like locators, but otherwise typically people call it as objects as well, right? So we can learn few things like there are 8 different ways in which Selenium will identify the locator. So something like every control will have unique properties or some properties provided by your developer. Like this locator will have some name, it will have some ID. If your developer is a very good developer, he'll ensure there is a unique ID for everything. Otherwise, it is our responsibility to see if there is a unique ID not available, push back to the development team and try to get the unique ID for it, because ID is going to help us in automating it in a very easy way. So there are few controls like class name, tag name. Everything is an HTML code, right? So there will be a tag, HTML tag for every control. So we need to know what is a tag name, what is a class name, what is the ID, uh, and there are about different properties like alt property in case of that. And we do see like the source from where this image is coming from, if it is an image. So there are different properties. Any automation tool will try to see what is the best property. Sometimes it's a single property, sometimes it's a more than one property. It will try to capture those properties and try to identify this particular locator. The same way it will try to do for every single locator. And in case of Selenium, Catalan, it's again simple recording and playback. We're going to probably, I'll quickly show the tool as well, how we are going to record and playback. Mainly, the Selenium also similarly had a tool called IDE, which is going to help you in recording these steps and trying to learn in a quick way how these locators have identified, and then playback so that it will try to playback on the same controls that you have automated. Maybe your page has 20 controls, 20 locators, but you in your automation, you would have taken only like 10 of them. So all those 10 will be uniquely identified and created a script for you. That is where people call this as a Selenium script in case of IDE. But when we go to WebDriver, it's going to be either Java, Python, Ruby, C Sharp. And the most popular one is obviously the Java, which is almost ruling the world for last 20, 25 years. So again, I left it in many situations, like, computer programmings are those will only be there like 4 or 5 years. So initially I've never learned it, the Java program. But again, when I realized its importance, again, I've learned it and done my work and thinking that again, something else will come and left it. So Java is the work which is actually ruling the market for like last 20 plus years of it. So we have to learn it anyway, because I see again a strong future for the program in terms of anything that we're going to build. So Java or Python or Ruby or any of the programming language in which we are going to generate the script. And when you run this thing, right, it is going to play back onto the same controls where we have created this particular script. So IDE was kind of a very easy to use and simple recording and playback tool, which anybody can try to understand how Selenium records. But it is being broken for like last 1-2 years with the latest versions of the Firefox and all of it. So this is the only thing we are, and very good news is that it actually why they are not really fixing this, because in Catalan there is a tool called Catalan Recorder, and that Catalan Recorder is actually much more easier to use and much more simpler to use. So people, because after seeing this tool is actually becoming popular, even the people who were developed the Selenium IDE, so they thought like, it's okay if you don't fix it, because anyway, this is going to help the people. And this tool was majorly for Firefox alone. So only people who use Firefox could actually use this. It was an extension of Firefox, but this actually they have built it on the Google Chrome, so it's an extension to the Chrome. The first thing, 1 or 2 sessions, what we are going to do is we are going to spend on this Katalon Studio recorder. I would say it's a Catalan recorder, exactly similar to Selenium IDE, which was available for the Firefox. By doing this, what we're going to do, we're going to master in understanding how this script automatically generates, how it records the controls, what properties it will capture. So all that will register in our mind. And there will be a simple export button in both IDE. It used to be there, as well as in this recorder it used to be there. With that simple export option, you can generate the program, the script into the Selenium script, which was part of the Selenium, and as well as part of this Catalan recorder, can into any of these languages which I was just spoke about: Java, Python, C Sharp, Ruby. You can convert into any of these. You can convert into Catalan format also. So with that, 2 sessions would be really more than enough to become master of this particular tool. But we'll learn a lot. We'll learn a lot in terms of like how to use an ID for for recognizing the locator, how to use class name, tag name. The most important thing that I did not touch upon was like XPath and CSS. These are the two which are very popular in identifying the locators in the world of Selenium as well as in the Catalan. So we're going to understand what is an XPath, what is a CSS, how to form different XPath expressions. Uh, so all that we're going to learn in the first 2 sessions. Then we'll get into, now that we understand this particular recording tool and we know how it generates. So we're going to start with the WebDriver, which is like the main core tool that we have to all master in. So we'll start with the WebDriver. We'll install Eclipse IDE, which is typically the development environment for the Java and mainly for the Java people. And the competitor for this is like we have a tool called JBehave. So either we can do that or this, but most popular is Eclipse IDE. So we'll install Eclipse IDE. So that's where we're going to start with Eclipse. And then we'll start creating simple WebDriver programs. But if you wanted to really see a pass-fail results of your test cases, we are going to use JUnit for that. JUnit is a very popular unit testing framework from a development point of view. All the people who do programming in Java, majorly they use JUnit for their unit testing. But to understand the next level of framework from the testing point of view, that is called TestNG. So we are going to use JUnit. Again, we'll spend one full session on that to understand how we can download the JUnit jar file. In the world of Java is all through Java runtime files called JAR files. So we'll download the jar file and we'll add it to our Eclipse and create a JUnit test. And then we're going to run a couple of tests and to see the results, how they have been successfully working or not working, etc. So you can completely forget about these two. Apologies for that. We will update in the site. So Selenium RC and Ant is still there, but Selenium RC is totally the older version of it. So the history is like it started with Selenium 1.0. That's when we used to have RC, and it in the Selenium 2.0 itself, RC is completely removed, and RC they have built into the WebDriver directly. So our WebDriver will consist of the RC features as well. So we don't need to learn any more about the RC. And what we are in today, the market is all about Selenium 3.0. I just showed you, right? 3.13. So 3.x is the latest one, and precisely we are going to learn 3.13. That is a version, the latest one. And then we are going to look at some of the basics of Java programming. Then we're going to do the JUnit testing programming. Then we'll go here. We'll understand the various different concepts like how can I automate a text box? How can I automate a list box? How can I automate this check button? The more different controls that you experience, the more different locators that you automate, that's your knowledge bank, that's your experience. Because each locator, behaves in a different way. If it is a list box, all the items in the list box, what kind of program we should write, how we get those list of items, where do we store? Should we store it in a array list, and then from array list how do we get its total number of items, and then if I wanted to select the first one, if I wanted to select the last one, or if I wanted to select anything randomly, so we need to write the program to do that. And similarly, checkbox behaves differently, push button differently. So we're going to learn, understand different locators, how we do work with Selenium thing. Then we are going to understand everything in a framework way. So when it comes to just learning automation is not going to help, because people would expect you to be master in creating a framework. Framework is nothing but a kind of a platform. It's a platform wherein you will create common functions and libraries. Probably the best thing I would do is, let me erase this. So typically what happens in a framework is that you'll create it as a platform, and this platform will have lots of common things like common library functions, a common reporting thing, and the test data, where you can generate the test data. All these informations are available. So when you build it as a common framework, the same thing can be used in for different projects. Maybe project X that you're working today, and tomorrow you're going to work in project Y, or you may be working in a project Z. So because these common library things related to, like, how can I read the data from an Excel file? How can I connect to a database and either run some query and get the data, or push something into the database? How can I connect to some maybe a text file and do it? So all these things are going to be, we are going to create it as a common library functions. And if you do it as a common library functions, all you have to do is, it's just like calling of that function with some parameters. For example, if I have to connect to the database, so what is my database server? What is my database name? What is my user ID? And what is my password? That's all. The same function, you're going to use it in project X, project Y, and project Z. You don't need to write this 20, 30 lines of code every time, which is going to be reusable. So we're going to build it everything through frameworks. And to start with, we'll first look at the data-driven framework, which is again very popular if you have to test the same application with multiples of tested data, maybe like 100 records, 1,000 records, sometimes like 100,000 records. The same application, same form that I have, which is like 20, 30 fields, but I need to test this application with realistic data of this, 20, 30 different fields with these 100 records or 1,000 records that I have in my Excel file. Let's say I have collected all this data from different customers of my application, and I have collected it in the form of Excel. So I'm going to run it on my application with all these different 1,000 records. And if I have to test it manually, it's going to take like 2 to 3 days. Rather, I'm going to simply run it overnight, and I can get to see the results tomorrow, what happened to all my 1,000 records. So we're going to learn it how to do this data-driven framework, especially in customer relationship management applications or data warehousing related applications. Otherwise nowadays we are dealing with this minimum 1,000, 10,000 records very easily in any application. So if you wanted to do that, That's where we're going to learn data-driven framework. Once we learn data-driven framework, there is like I talked about why we are learning JUnit, right? So there is another or maybe before data-driven itself, we'll deal with this first. There is a popular framework called TestNG framework. Again, this TestNG frameworks will actually give us very useful annotations. So it completely comes with annotations like at the rate, before, at the rate, after, at the rate, test. Like, there could be a lot of things when we actually wanted to do the test, but before the test we may need to do some sort of setup activities or a prerequisite activities. Maybe like you have to just log in with a valid credentials and enter into the home page, and the actual test starts. After the test completes, there may be certain things that you have to do after the testing is also. So bundling into a nice a structure for your program, for your test case, can be achieved through something called TestNG framework. There are 8 to 9 different annotations we have. All you have to do is use the right annotations at the right place, and your code is going to be structured. And at the end of it, it generates a nice HTML report, which you can actually email it to anybody, like maybe other counterparts in US or rest of the world, or you can email it to your clients saying here is the. I've seen people who use Selenium. Almost 70-80% of the people use this TestNG framework, and I've asked myself, I go and take a lot of interviews as well for my company hiring, and I've seen people talk about TestNG and Selenium a lot, and I've seen people using it a lot. In our case itself, like we have 4 different projects going on, and 2 different projects uses TestNG, and 2 different projects has its own framework. So it's very popular. So we're going to talk about TestNG framework, how we are going to do that, and then in the TestNG itself, there is a provider called there is an annotation called data provider. So we're going to use that data provider to talk about what is this data-driven test and all. That will set the context for us. And after discussing this, then we'll talk about data-driven framework. Apart from TestNG, JUnit, okay, so let's take some questions. Yes, we need to learn all of them. We're going to talk about page object model framework. We're going to talk about hybrid framework. We're going to talk about keyword driven framework. I'm actually coming there. So I'm going to introduce all the frameworks. Yes, we are going to learn, we will get a chance to learn API testing with Catalan. So it is pretty much, yes, we're going to learn API testing with Catalan. So Catalan offers web testing, mobile testing, API testing, and the complete CI/CD. So these are the 4 major things. All right, so we talked about JUnit framework. No, they are going to be weekly ones. No, it's going to be daily, 5 days a week. So we look at first JUnit, we look at TestNG, we look at DDF, and then there is a very popular framework called KDF, Keyword Driven Framework, which is another important framework that you see any automation, be it a UFT, be it with Selenium, be it with Catalan is completely built on top of this, and the AnyAuth product which Karthik has showed a few minutes back, even I've just projected it here, that is totally built on Keyword Driven Framework. So the idea here is that if you want to make your users very easy to use your software, they may not be really expert in programming like what we do. So what we're going to do is we are going to build some simple English language keywords like open browser, click a link, enter something onto a text box, select an item from a list box. We're going to create some simple English language keywords, and we as the automation test engineers, we write the code behind it. When the customer will simply use the keyword like open browser, what it has to do, how to open the browser, like creating a driver object and then say driver.get, and here is the URL. So we are going to write the code behind for every single keyword definition. That's what exactly the Catalan people have done. And I'm telling you, after we learn the Selenium hard way and completely master in it, you will not really appreciate much Catalan because you have been experienced in writing the method, and similarly they would have done it. But why I'm telling Catalan is important, because you may not have the same time to write for everything. but you know how to write. So you'll become master by the time, oh, I also know how to write a method definition for this particular keyword, and they would have done the same thing in the Catalan Studio. And apart from predefined keywords, you can also add keywords to it. So whenever there is a need, you will also add it. So for every single language, for every single keyword, we are going to write the definition, what it is going to do, with a proper exception handling, with a proper try catch block. And if things are not going to work as expected, where to throw the exception, where to give a proper logging for our code, and where to give a proper notification to the people who are going to use what happened. Let's say you're actually loading an Excel file and trying to read the data. It could be that your file format is corrupted, or the sheet that you're referring does not have a data. So we need to handle all those exceptions and give a proper message to the user. So we're going to build this particular keyword driven framework, you know, in 2 to 3 sessions. So you'll understand completely what is this framework is all about. And when you go real time, you have to build it. You'll easily understand how to do that. So apart from keyword driven framework, as somebody has touched upon, a very important framework is called page object model, which is again a very popular, and Catalan people also have realized that a lot of people are actually building keyword driven framework, a lot of people are building data driven framework, page object model. So they have given all of them into the Catalan. But first we are going to build everything on our own, and then we are going to simply use it. So in page object model, again, it's directly taken from one of the design factory called Page Factory in Java. What we are going to do is, for every single web application or web page in our application, let's say our website has 10 pages, right? For every single page, we are going to create a class file, Java class file separately. And in that class file, we are going to maintain all the locators information and all the operations that anybody can perform. For example, to start with, obviously you will have first login page, right? You will go to the login page. So I will create one class file for that, and all the keywords like locators like username, password, maybe something like an OTP if you're going to get an OTP on your mobile. So and anything like forgot password or forgot username or sign up option. So all these things we are going to build into one page, locators information and the methods information. And then after you successfully log in, you will have, let's say, a home page in which I have again a couple of links. So we are going to create a separate page and the methods for that. Like this, for every single page in our application, we are going to create a Java class file, and we'll use this page factory method to refer to these methods. The advantage of the page object model is that if something goes wrong with a particular test case, we know in which page it lies in. So we'll go straight away debug that page rather than debugging the entire code that you have. And this framework is so popular, whether you go with Selenium with C#, Selenium with Java, or any automation framework, it's actually very popular. And then the Catalan Studio also, by default, it automatically applies the page object model. One thing that really, kind of made me more like about the Catalan Studio is that whatever the pain points, like creating the KDF, creating the DTF, or this page object model, they have considered all of that, and as automatically it's going to organize into page structures. Okay, how many languages can use can use Catalan, like Cucumber, etc.? Okay, so in my view, this is it is like you don't need to, only when we learn Selenium with Java should be really good enough. And the same Java language is good enough when you go to Catalan also. So just like Java is one programming language, unless you you got a job request or you're already working and your company or the new job requirement demands you in any other language, Java is good enough. And if you have some time and if you wanted to really learn Python. These two are more than enough, at least for the next 3 to 4 years, I would say, from your career point of view. I don't know what's going to come, maybe like 5 years down the line, but to have a strong career, these two are really good enough. Okay, so we talked about JUnit testing, GTDF, KDF, page object model, and then if you put together a combination of these is what we actually call it as hybrid framework. So typically in a lot of automation, we are going to use hybrid framework because one framework may not be sufficient for all the needs that we have. So we'll put together more than one framework and combining it is called a hybrid framework. So we're going to learn all these frameworks in a practical way uh, through this Selenium as well as through Catalan. It's more like just using it. So there's nothing like we're going to do. So we'll have data-driven framework, WebDriver overview, keyword-driven framework, hybrid framework. We're going to look at how do we deal with different pop-ups that are going to come, alerts that are going to come. How do we deal with the dynamic pages that are changing, Ajax controls that we have, all that we are going to learn it. And then we'll get into something called Selenium Grid, which is very important. Sometimes you may have to run your, let's say you have created some 500 test cases. And if you have going to run these, okay, which is the design in which PRM language? Srini, can you bit elaborate on that? Okay, which Catalan is a design in which okay, which programming language? It's a Groovy and Java. So the beauty about that is right. They say Groovy slash Java. You just go put Java code, it will convert into the Groovy format. I really liked about that feature. So it's a same Java is good enough, but it's they call it as a Groovy slash Java language program. You have saw some screenshots, right? I'll show you. Can you see? This is the language. It's simply like webui.comment or webui.openbrowser, webui.click, webui.setText. It's that simple. And if you have to write in between some conditional statements or loops, you can directly start writing with Java. Okay. So you don't need to really any other programming. This is enough. Java is enough. Okay. So if you have to run your tests parallelly, let's say you have created 500 tests for your total project. If you have to go run in sequence, it's going to take, I don't know, 10 hours, 15 hours, depending on it, right? And I'm sorry, and those test cases, if you have to run it on different platforms with the different browsers, let's say few of them on, okay, let's for simplicity, let's take these 100 test cases. And I have to run it on one with Windows and IE, and I have to run this on maybe like Macintosh with Safari, and maybe on Linux with Google Chrome, and few of them are related to mobile testing, so I have to run it in mobile. If I have to do one by one, then people have to wait for my results at least 2 to 3 days, or at least 2 days, or at least full one day. But what I'm going to do with the help of this grid is I'm going to split these things. Like I'm going to run, not really split, I'm going to run all of them parallelly, all 100 test cases onto the different platforms parallelly. So if it is going to take like 20 hours, now it's 20 divided by 4. I'm going to run all this in like 5 hours. In sequence, if it is going to take 20 hours, I would be really done in like 5 hours with parallel testing. So that is going to be achieved through something called Selenium Grid. So we're going to understand how to set the Selenium Grid, how to
I just wanted to say hello again and see if my audio is okay. If there's any sound. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'll go back
yeah,
on mute. Sorry, Shankar.
no, it is not. Yeah. So we're going to see how this parallel testing is going to happen with that. And in and you might have heard about it, like creating all these kind of environments is very tough. Like, I mean, in the sense, I need to have a hardware for all these things, right? Okay, so Appium is not directly included because Appium itself is again a very vast training. I would say it's like a detailed training. So we have separate training for that. But what we are going to do when we look at Catalan, probably we'll have few sessions on how to do it on mobile testing also. But if your area is to go expertise in the mobile side of it, I would strongly encourage to take the Appium and then after we discuss Catalan, so become master in both Appium and Catalan on the mobile side of it. So the focus here majorly on the web and API testing, but since Catalan has that feature, I will also show a couple of sessions on mobile testing. But that I would not say it's a complete in-depth of mobile testing. So if you have to be master in it, best is to learn the complete Appium library and the Catalan Studio of mobile testing. But you will definitely get a fair enough knowledge on when we do with the Catalan. So now building all these hardware is a very costly matter, right? From okay, we'll see how to do with Selenium Grid, but I can tell you the other popular thing that is happening in the market is like people are using something called SaaS Labs. SaaS Labs is a cloud-based company where they will give you all this kind of infrastructure with your Windows and IE specific version, Mac with specific version, or the Linux or Ubuntu with a Chrome particular version, or a particular mobile device, Android or iOS version. Because buying all that stuff, setting up the hardware in a test lab is a costly matter. So we can take use of these cloud technology companies like SaaS Labs who will provide these environments, and we can simply run our Selenium scripts on remotely onto this rather than running it on our local premise test lab environment. We can connect to these people like just I'll quickly show you the website for them. We'll have one session on that, how we can actually connect to our test to this. So here is a company which provides all this kind of cloud-based infrastructure. So it's very popular because we cannot really afford all that hardware. We'll see how to do database testing through it. Uh, okay, so it's definitely it's going to be a 90-minute session every day that we will be doing it. And some areas, I would say, like mostly we'll try to do it completely live, but some areas where we think it is repetitive, maybe like 5 to 10% of it, we may ask you to go and or we will actually exactly point you to some of the videos, because we have been doing this training for almost 4 years and we have already done this multiple times. You're right, in terms of like completing all this in 30-35 sessions is definitely a challenge. So where we think it's a low complex or low area that we have, we are going to point you to the exact video. You have to just spend the video, you'll completely get the feel like what we have done there, but that's going to be very minimal though. And then we are going to look at how do we work with Maven, how do we work with Jenkins, how do we work with the complete continuous integration and continuous automation tools. So that's majorly from the kind of Selenium contents point of view. So any questions from the Selenium perspective? So only in place of IDE, I'm going to use something called Katalon Recorder starting from tomorrow. So we'll spend 2 sessions on the Katalon Recorder, understanding the complete locators information, understanding the complete identification. Okay, so Cucumber is also like what we're going to do after the overall Selenium is done, the frameworks and everything is completed. We will go into the test-driven development, acceptance test-driven development, behavior-driven development with Cucumber. So those are some of the advanced topics that you have to at least know the knowledge of it, because the industry started talking about behavior-driven development, Cucumber and all. Again, we have already done it twice or thrice. So we are going to do it for after the Selenium is done. So it will be like TDD, ATTD, and the BDD, test-driven development, acceptance test-driven development, and Cucumber, the behavior-driven development. Go ahead, Karthik.
Shankar, yes, there were a few questions coming as to what is covered and what is not, like APM, Cucumber, and so on. While
I,
in this program, we may not be able to touch upon everything, you have the e-learn, like you will have access to the videos once you're an IT Learn member. So you have unlimited learning there. And that is key team. And that is something that even other training companies may not be able to provide, like Udemy's and so on. So you have the membership, you have access to all the courses. So in 1 month is a training, but learning is constant in IT. So you'll have to keep learning on a constant basis. And our model will help you that way, because there were at least 3-4 questions related to what will be covered and what not. I thought I'll quickly say that everything you have access to. This program specifically tailor made. One of the first time we're doing it. Anyone is doing it. So just wanted to add that. Thank you, Shankar.
yeah. So as Karthik said, right? So here is where you will go and completely watch out the mobile testing or APM Android related one that we have recently done it. And it's done by one of the expert trainer we have like within IT Learn. And then you have related to web services, UI, API testing thing, performance testing thing, the HP UFT if somebody's still working on it. I've seen a lot of people need UFT still because there are few jobs on that. Robot framework is one another framework which is totally built on top of the keyword driven framework that we just talked about it. So if you wanted to be master in that, then again you can do it. Database testing, the manual database testing related things. Somebody wants to go and take an ISTQB certification. So we have all the trainings over there. But yeah, as we said, this training we're going to focus on like 35 sessions exclusively on Selenium with Selenium and Catalan. That's it. So after we are done with the Selenium, we're going to jump onto the Katalon Studio because we already know a lot of concepts. We can quickly do all of them again in a very simpler way with very less programming and easy to use UI with the Katalon. So that's where I would say if you have spent about 20-25 sessions, there it is good enough to spend like 10 sessions and do everything master in there. Because we are not going to really do much of programming. It's simply through UI options and but the same concept, same DDF, KDF, page object model, locators up, identification, everything is going to be same. So that's the way you're going to master in these two tools by end of this particular course. So any questions that I would like to spend like another 5 to 10 minutes taking up more questions. So the first thing that we're going to do tomorrow is start with the Catalan recorder tool. What certificate we have in industry or Selenium? Okay, this is not like again, it's all open source, right? Hopefully very soon the Catalan Management Studio, the KMS is an organization. They may come up some certification, I don't know, because the tool is just getting popular. So here is a company which developed this tool, KMS Technology. Uh, so they are currently trying to focus totally on making the tool more and more robust and trying to have more presence in the market, right? They are not really focused on certification yet, but I can soon see this company may come up with some certification. The way HP UFT used to have certifications from HP company, but Selenium, right? So there are a lot of people. Okay, I should not say it's not a good or bad, but people started saying Selenium certification, Selenium certification. There is no certification as such from a Selenium because it's a open source and there are people came together and built this particular language. But the training providers, basically like maybe Udemy or maybe any other organization, so they are creating the certificate. I mean, if you come to that angle, like we provided IT e-learn training certification for the Selenium and people came back and said, like, organizations have really recognized that. And, I could get some benefits out of the certification having saying that, I got trained and, here are the projects that I've done implemented. So it's mostly organizations, training providers are providing the certification saying so and so person has completed the Selenium in-depth training of the Selenium. But it's only the Java certification that you can get it if you are interested in programming. But there's nothing as such a Selenium as a stamp. So Karthik, do you want to add anything here? Do you have any other perspective on the certification? Yeah, I think he'll come back. So, but that's the point on the certification, and it's like so. Uh, yeah, whoever asked for this, I could not see the name. Yes, that's the target, and it's like we're planning to definitely do it in the first week of August. Where do we learn manual testing? So all you need to do is just drop an email to learn@itlearn.com. Our team will contact you back with exactly the videos that you have to watch through and get master in manual testing quickly. So for everything that you can just reach out, learn@itlearn.com. learn@itlearn.com. Correct. So they'll point you to the recent QA videos that I've just completed on this Friday. So uh, they'll give you the exact. It's only quick five sessions that you have to go through. For which one, Piyush? When will you start the next training batch? Is it for manual you're talking about, or? or this one? Tomorrow we're going to have continuation. That's what. So I would say, Sunil, offering a Catalan training itself is the first that we are doing it. So I mean, there are few people have done like 1-2 videos, but they have not done the full-fledged course. So we are doing it for the first time. And first, initially, we did some demos 3 weeks back, thinking that we'll directly do Catalan. But then I myself realized it's a nice way to do is first do the Selenium and then Catalan, because the low-level thing that you learn first. So that's why we started and this package. IT Learn does provide paid sessions or free. How to get it? So it's we do have a lot of free sessions that you can go through, but on some of these tools in depth, it's all through paid sessions, and you will have a membership. There are different membership access that you can again write to learn at itlearn.com. You will be provided with all the details back, like 1 year access or a lifetime access or a particular course access, what you want to do. Hema, don't put yourself into too much of pressure in completing all 5 videos before tomorrow. If you can do it, well and good if you have time. But again, next 2 to 3 sessions also is good enough if you don't have any manual concepts. So it's okay. So if you can finish by this week parallelly, you're good to go. All right, so any other questions before we wind up for today? So tomorrow we're going to directly start with the Catalan recorder tool, and we'll spend some 2 sessions there, and then we'll come back to Selenium WebDriver. I'm a functional tester, getting difficult to get jobs in manual testing. What's your suggestion to me? If you want me to go through, I can very much assure I go myself for hiring a lot of people. Manual testing, if the project is already there, if it is in a maintenance and if the client is paying for it, people are surviving the jobs. But if as long as you want to move a job, if you want to change your job, or if you want to get a job, automation is key. Without having automation knowledge, probably your resume won't even get shortlisted. So having automation is very important, and having Selenium in your profile is the most important. And maybe talking about something like Selenium plus Catalan, which is the future tool that people are expecting, will make you kind of put you into an upfront. So without automation, it's even hard to get an interview call unless it's a very domain specific project, like a banking project or a financial project, and you're very good at the domain. Otherwise, manual testing jobs are almost not there. Yeah, Selenium is, because see, it's been proven and it's robust for the last 5 years. Any framework, robot framework, if you take, it's built on Selenium library. Katalon Studio is totally built on Selenium library. People have created their own company tools saying XYZ name, but the underneath again it's a Selenium library. So that's the way, like, Selenium library is core. So learning that is something that we cannot avoid. Okay, any other questions, team? All right, so thanks everyone for joining the orientation session from digitally all over the world, and in presence in Hyderabad. We'll continue from tomorrow the practical sessions of it, like with the Catalan recorder first, and then we'll get onto Selenium WebDriver. Yes, I told will API testing will be covered when we go to Catalan. Okay, so with Hema, let me ask you one question. Like, have you presence in? Okay, I think you're online, right? So don't worry about the timing much. If you can really make to this session, that's well and good, I think. But otherwise, we will have one more different timing session in which we will play back the same video that I have just done in the morning. But after that, the videos are available in the website. You can watch it at any point of the time. So, but if you can try to attend in presence, it's well and good. Same timing, 6 p.m. PST or 6:30 a.m. IST. We have different plans. Maybe like in a week's time again, we might start doing it in different timings as well. So just reach out to it. But my suggestion is like, if you can make to this, it's well and good. Just because I mean, I needed to kind of rush up to the office and things like that, we have preferred this time. Definitely, I see somebody has put this question. Padma, yes, I will definitely help you how you can prepare your resume in terms of like with your financial and a healthcare organization, from which projects that it's more like, see, once you learn the things, right, you yourself will become understand how can I put it as a roles and responsibility for my healthcare project or any other domain. So if I do not know, no, we are going to learn Selenium. Sunil, if I do not know Selenium, no, we are going to learn Selenium. It's learning Selenium is the only thing that we're going to do first, and then we go to Catalan. It's not that I'm assuming that you know Selenium when we are doing it. It is a Selenium plus Catalan. Does that answer your question, Sunil? 2 days weekend classes at end of July. Okay, I didn't get that. Live projects will be done post completion of the course. Don't worry who don't have any programming knowledge. Forget about Java. If you don't have any programming language, is also something that we're going to learn from the fundamentals. And again, we have a complete videos on, I mean, if you after that again, apart from what we're going to do it here, we have core Java videos as well. So you can go through them. It's more like apart from these 90 minutes, you need to just have another 90 minutes of time in your hand. That's all. No, Catalan. See, this ID is broken. So just I'm going to do 2 days of session on the Catalan recorder. Let me show that what it is like. And can you see here? There's a simple recorder, Catalan automation recorder, and it's a very simple recording tool. We're going to just spend 2 sessions on this, like understanding these different controls, how it recognizes these operations. That's it. After that, because this is important to understand, how we are going to write the program in Selenium also. After spending these 2 days of session here, we'll immediately go to Selenium because this same tool in Selenium has broken. In Selenium, we had a tool called Selenium IDE, which is kind of broken right now. No, first is Selenium. Okay, first is Selenium, then Catalan. Just the first 2 days to get familiar with recording and playback, I'll use this tool. Okay, I should have more specific. Yeah, I think I have been, but yeah, that's fine. Any other questions, team, at this moment? All right. So once again, thanks everyone for joining. Have a good day or good evening. Talk to you tomorrow at same time. Thank you. Yes, live project will be there after these company sessions are done. We have ongoing web development projects with Workasa, so we can pick up one of the project and start automating it. Like we have many different projects are there. Just to show you, like this is one website, QA on Air, which kind of bridge the gap between the people who are looking for the jobs and the employers who wanted to recruit the people. We can start automating this product itself, like any odd product itself. So this itself is a product testing product, and you're going to automate this testing product. So like that, we have different web development projects going on. So we can use one of them. All right. Thanks everyone.